A beloved voice from Ricky Dillard's powerhouse choir has just landed behind bars. Josh Kagler's arrest is making waves, and the details are more unsettling than most expected. The gospel world is stunned. The church community is torn in two, and the truth behind this arrest is rippling through the entire gospel industry like a shockwave. What actually went on behind the scenes? And why are some rushing to defend him while others say this was bound to happen, that his secrets are finally catching up with him? Stay with us because this is far from a closed case. Welcome back to the channel where we bring you the stories others are too hesitant to touch. And today we're dropping a bombshell that's shaking gospel music at its core. Josh Kagler, a gifted vocalist, respected worship leader, and cherished member of Ricky Dillard's celebrated choir, has been taken into custody. Yes, you heard correctly. The very man whose voice once echoed through sanctuaries and packed arenas is now at the heart of a criminal case. And what makes it all even more chilling? The silence. No official statement, not a word from Ricky Dillard. Just murmurs, hearsay, and now a stunning confirmation. Right now, you're probably asking, what did he actually do? Could this be a misunderstanding? Is someone trying to sabotage him? Or has a side of Josh Kagler been hidden from fans all along? In this video, we're unpacking court records, first-hand witness reports, and the internet's fast-growing backlash. It's all spiraling fast. We'll trace Josh's meteoric rise in the gospel world, the jaw-dropping facts surrounding his arrest, and the fallout that's threatening to shake one of the most revered choirs in gospel music today. So buckle up, what we're about to uncover might change everything you thought you knew, and believe me, you won't guess who else could be connected. Let's get into it. Long before the headlines and the mugshot, Josh Kagler was known for something completely different. His anointing, that voice of his, unforgettable. Smooth, commanding, and packed with power and conviction. Born and raised deep in the South, Josh wasn't just another singer. He was the sound behind some of gospel music's most spirit-led worship moments. Josh got his start singing in his hometown church choir in Birmingham, Alabama. Even as a teenager, people described him as having an old soul. His voice carried the emotional depth of someone twice his age. Soon enough, pastors began calling on him for revivals. Youth conferences brought him in as their featured psalmist. It didn't take long before the name Josh Kagler spread far beyond his home state. His big break came when he joined Ricky Dillard's New G Choir, a legendary force in gospel. Ricky Dillard has long been known for developing singers who don't just entertain, they minister, and Josh fit that calling perfectly. His featured solos stirred audiences to their feet. Clips of him leading worship sessions went viral online. Churchgoers and gospel lovers started calling him the next Donnie McClurkin. But it wasn't just his talent that drew admiration. Josh carried himself as a humble, God-fearing man, always dressed to impress, always kind, and always giving the glory to Jesus. Josh Kagler had a reputation for grace. His Instagram was filled with scripture, devotionals, and behind-the-scenes snapshots of his life on the road, praying, singing, laughing with choir members. From the outside looking in, it seemed like he was walking firmly in his purpose. He even launched his own group, Josh Kagler and the Harmon Praise Crusade. Their recordings had that raw, soulful church sound, and fans ate it up. For a while, it looked like Josh was on the path to becoming gospel music's next breakout star. But here's where the twist comes in. While he was rising through the ranks and earning favor in the gospel world, another story was playing out quietly in the background. Because behind all the praise and worship was a personal life most knew nothing about, and now that hidden life is being dragged into the light. So what went wrong? How did someone so talented and respected end up behind bars? We're about to break it all down, and believe me, the charges are even more serious than you think. It all started on what seemed like just another calm evening in Jefferson County, Alabama. That is, until flashing sirens lit up the night and the name Josh Kagler appeared on a police report that no one saw coming. According to official statements from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, Josh Kagler was taken into custody on multiple felony counts, charges that sent immediate shockwaves throughout the gospel and Christian community. The date was locked in July 19, 2024. The charges? Possession of a controlled substance, intent to distribute, and resisting arrest. Let's break this down. The official documentation, the court records, say that Kagler was pulled over during good What began as a routine traffic stop around 11:48 p.m. just outside Birmingham. Police stated he was driving erratically and initially didn't yield when officers activated their lights. When he finally pulled over, body cam footage allegedly shows Kagler appearing visibly anxious and avoiding questions. That's when the situation took a sharp turn. A search of his vehicle reportedly revealed a stash of pills, some unmarked, suspected to be illegal narcotics. Also discovered were large sums of cash, several mobile phones, and a digital scale items authorities often associate with drug distribution. But it gets even more complicated. Sources close to the investigation say Josh tried to explain that the pills were prescription medication and the money was legitimate, but officers weren't convinced. When they moved in to place him under arrest, he resisted, not violently, but just enough to require backup in order to safely restrain him. He was then transported to Jefferson County Jail and officially booked shortly after midnight. Bail was set, but there was no immediate release. The judge set bail at $25,000, but here's the twist: Kagler didn't post bail right away. Why? According to an insider within the jail system, he was placed on a mental health hold due to erratic emotional behavior and signs of distress. That decision not only delayed his release, but also added even more fuel to the firestorm of speculation swirling online. By the next morning, social media was in complete chaos. Gospel fans were left stunned. Some refused to believe it, thinking it had to be fake news or just a smear attempt. Others started sharing screenshots of the arrest report, questioning how someone who had just ministered through song days ago could now be sitting behind bars, facing drug charges. One Twitter user wrote, "We really don't know these artists outside of the church lights. Lord, cover us all." Another said, "Just because you sing about God doesn't mean you're free from demons." Harsh, maybe, but it was clear the gospel community was split. Some showed compassion, pointing to the intense pressure of the industry and the reality of spiritual warfare, but many were quick to cast judgment, wondering how a man trusted to lead others in worship could possibly be living a double life. The questions began flooding in. Was Josh the victim of a setup by someone jealous of his success? Was this a hidden struggle with addiction he kept buried beneath the surface? Or is there something deeper going on, something the police and public still don't know? No matter how you view it, one thing is certain: the church world was shaken to its core. And it didn't take long before some of the biggest names in gospel, including Ricky Dillard himself, came under pressure to respond to the news of Josh Kagler's arrest. Fans weren't just shocked by the charges, they were watching closely, eyes locked on social media, waiting to see how Ricky Dillard, the iconic choir leader and gospel powerhouse, would react. Would he stand behind Josh, distance himself, or stay silent altogether? At first, the silence was loud. That initial quiet, was it a calculated move, or was it disbelief? In the 48 hours following Josh's arrest, Ricky Dillard stayed completely silent across every platform. No tweets, no stories, no official statement, and that only added more fuel to the fire. Speculation exploded. Some insiders suggested Ricky had been advised by his legal counsel to stay quiet while the case unfolded, especially considering Josh had been on stage with the choir just weeks prior, performing during a high-profile summer tour. Others believed the silence wasn't legal, it was emotional. "You could see it," said one anonymous gospel insider. Ricky was heartbroken. Josh wasn't just a vocalist, he was family to the New G family. This wasn't just a PR nightmare. This felt like betrayal. Then finally, a cryptic post set the internet ablaze. 4 days after the arrest, Ricky Dillard broke his silence, but not through a press release or interview. Instead, he took to Instagram stories, posting a simple black background with the words, "We all fall short. Pray before you speak." Romans 3:23. Just 11 words, but they triggered a tidal wave on gospel Twitter. Was it a defense of Josh? A rebuke of the gossip? Or a reminder that none of us are without fault? Comment sections lit up instantly. That's right, Ricky, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. But being accountable isn't judgment. He still has to face the music. Then came the real statement. The very next day, Ricky Dillard went live on Facebook, posting a 7-minute video that felt part sermon, part confession, and part heartfelt plea. Here's a paraphrased summary of what he shared. "I'm coming to y'all today not as a choir director, but as a man who loves his team like their family. Yes, I'm aware of the situation with Josh Kagler. Yes, I'm hurting. Yes, I'm praying. And yes, I'm giving him space. Space to heal, to face whatever truth he needs to confront, and to begin his own process. He continued, "Let me be clear, I don't excuse wrongdoing. But I also don't believe in cancel culture. God isn't finished with him yet. And if this moment serves as a wake-up call for Josh, may it draw him even closer to the Lord." Ricky never confirmed whether Josh had been removed from the choir. He didn't share details of their final conversation either. But what his tone did reveal was clear love, hurt, and disappointment, but not rejection. And fans took notice. There was something powerful about seeing grace in action within gospel culture. The gospel world isn't like Hollywood. Here, scandal carries a different weight because fans and church members don't just see these artists as entertainers. They see them as ministers, as vessels, as spiritual leaders. So when someone like Josh falls from grace, the question isn't just what happened, it becomes how do we respond with both truth and grace. Ricky Dillard walked that delicate line. His response wasn't a cover-up, nor was it a condemnation. It was a call for prayer, for growth, and for accountability, all wrapped in compassion. It served as a reminder to fans that gospel artists are human too, still learning, still battling, still evolving, and that leads us straight into the next layer of this unfolding story. Because while Josh himself remained quiet, another voice began to speak out. A former choir member, someone who had once stood on stage alongside Josh, stepped forward with a story no one was prepared for, while the gospel world was still grappling. With the aftermath of Josh Kagler's arrest and Ricky Dillard's gracious, careful response, a new and completely unexpected voice emerged. What she revealed would completely shift the narrative. She called herself a whistleblower from within. We'll refer to her as Sister T for now. A former member of Ricky Dillard's new G choir, Sister T had kept silent for years. She had toured, performed, and seen everything up close. But this time, she couldn't stay quiet any longer. In a shocking TikTok livestream that racked up over 500,000 views in less than 48 hours, she didn't just speak about Josh Kagler, she pulled the curtain back on what she described as the toxic reality within the gospel performance world that most fans never witness. "Josh ain't the first one," she said directly. "He's just the one that got caught." That single statement lit a wildfire across social media. The video quickly took over gospel TikTok. In the now viral 15-minute stream, Sister T made a series of stunning claims. She described a choir culture riddled with secrets. After concerts, there were parties, people drinking, hooking up, pretending like they hadn't just been leading worship hours earlier. Josh, she claimed, had been protected for years. His charm, his voice, and his star power made people overlook obvious red flags. "I saw him make inappropriate comments," she said. "I saw how he acted around vulnerable women backstage. People laughed it off," she recalled. Multiple individuals had allegedly voiced concerns in the past. There were whispers, quiet complaints, but no one wanted to jeopardize a successful tour. No one wanted to disturb the spirit. So they pushed it all down. They stayed silent. Sister T's tone wasn't angry, it was weary. It carried the weight of someone who had seen too much and held it in for too long. Her voice echoed grief, exhaustion, and disappointment, and the video closed with this statement: "If the gospel world refuses to hold its own accountable, then we're no better than the world we claim we're trying to save." If the gospel world refuses to hold its own accountable, then we're no better than the world we clave in the world we clave than the world we clave with this statement. If the gospel world refuses to hold its own accountable, then we're no better than the world we claim we're trying to save. Mic dropped. That line split the gospel community right down the middle. Her video ignited a firestorm of reactions across social platforms. Supporters praised her, saying, "Finally someone bold enough to speak truth to power. We need more Sister T's out here willing to risk everything for the sake of real ministry," one person commented. But critics came just as hard. "Why now?" they asked. "Why not go to the church leadership in private?" Some accused her of bitterness disguised as boldness. Others questioned her intent entirely. But many shifted their attention to a much deeper concern: the church's decades-long failure to create a culture of safety and accountability for choir members and gospel performers. But there was one thing no one could argue she cracked: Open a door. And what came pouring through it was years of suppressed pain. The bigger question now became, how much did people already know? Sister T's bombshell forced a complete reevaluation. Was Josh Kagler's fall from grace a sudden collapse, or was it the slow, predictable result of years of behavior that people saw but refused to address? Soon, anonymous sources began flooding the DMs of Christian bloggers, eager to share what they had witnessed. Several claimed that Josh had groupies at gospel festivals. One recounted hearing a woman crying in a hotel hallway after an event. Nobody asked questions, the source wrote. We were told to just pray it away and keep smiling on stage. It painted a deeply unsettling image, not just of Josh, but of a broader culture that at times seemed more concerned with optics than with truth and integrity. And right in the middle of this spiraling storm, Josh finally made his first move. He didn't address it on Instagram. He didn't go live from a pulpit. He didn't speak to a congregation. He showed up in court, and the headlines that followed? They were almost too wild to believe. After weeks of viral allegations, divisive online discourse, and emotional testimonies from former choir members like Sister T, all attention shifted to one last spotlight. The courtroom. This wasn't a stage. There were no robes, no choirs, no rehearsals. No applause. This time the microphones were off, and the only voice that mattered was the gavel of the judge. What took place in that courtroom left even the most experienced reporters and insiders in shock. The courtroom was filled to capacity on the morning of the hearing. Media outlets swarmed the courthouse steps. Gospel blogs, YouTubers, TikTok personalities, and even mainstream outlets like TMZ showed up to cover the story. Ricky Dillard himself did not attend, but several members of the New G choir appeared quietly, slipping into the back rows with heads bowed. Josh Kagler entered with his attorney, dressed in a plain navy suit. Wearing no jewelry. The confident stage presence he was once known for had vanished. In its place stood a pale, visibly shaken man. Then came the moment no one could prepare for. The charges were read aloud: sexual assault, invasion of privacy, coercion, and multiple counts of misconduct involving a minor. Each charge hit like a thunderclap. And then Josh Kagler spoke the apology that split an entire community. The courtroom fell into an eerie stillness as the judge asked if he had anything to say before sentencing. Josh stood, his voice shaky, barely above a whisper. He turned, his gaze toward the gallery where some of his former choir members sat, and said, "I failed. I let down my brothers, my sisters, my church, and most of all, I let down God. What I did is inexcusable. No amount of talent, no number of songs or sermons can cover what I did. I hurt people, and I'm truly sorry." Gasps spread through the courtroom. Some began to cry, some looked away in disbelief. Others simply stared, frozen. He went on, "This isn't a performance. This isn't about image control. This is me, a broken man, standing here asking God and those I hurt for forgiveness." But when it came time for the verdict, there was no leniency. Despite the emotion in his statement, the judge remained firm. She looked him in the eye and said, "Mr. Kagler, your gift does not shield you from justice. You violated a sacred trust. You abused your position. You manipulated your platform. And now you must be held accountable." Josh Kagler was sentenced to 9 years in prison with no eligibility for early parole. For the first 6 seconds after the sentence was delivered, the room was utterly still. No outbursts, no shouts, just a heavy shared silence. Acceptance. Then he was taken away in cuffs. That would be the last time the gospel world saw Josh Kagler, not under bright lights, but in shackles, tears silently falling from his eyes. Where do we go from here? In the days following the sentencing, Ricky Dillard issued one final public statement. "While my heart breaks over Josh's actions, I still believe in redemption and restoration. My prayers remain with every victim, and I am dedicated to creating a ministry rooted in safety and accountability going forward." He didn't defend Josh, nor did he demonize him. Instead, he presented a path forward, one centered on healing. Gospel community took notice. Quietly, the industry began to shift. Churches held closed-door meetings. Ministries reevaluated their leadership development. Choir tours introduced new rules focused on accountability. Victims were encouraged to come forward and speak their truth without shame. And slowly, the gospel world began to change. Just a little. The final word? This scandal wasn't only about the downfall of one man, it was a wake-up call. A powerful reminder that no level of gifting can excuse flawed character. That ministry should be accountable, not just anointed. And that real healing can only begin when truth is spoken, no matter how painful it may be. To those still carrying their pain in silence, you are not alone. Your voice matters. And to the gospel community, may we never again protect platforms more than we protect people.